now time for The Viewing Room with Adam and Ethan.
Welcome to The Viewing Room, where we talk about films new and old, local and global. This time, we're live. And I'm sick.
and
I'm
this
sick.
time, you don't have work.
Yeah, that's true. We'll see, actually. Well, in about 40 minutes or so, we'll see if I get a call. Okay, today we're talking about Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And we're doing it live. And people keep asking, oh, wow, Ethan, you're doing this live because you love it so much. And the answer is yes.
Yes.
The answer is also, we didn't record an episode this week, so we're going live.
Yeah, we do that quite frequently. And the studio is getting a lot busier. We've got a lot of stuff happening in the studio, and so sometimes it's harder to find time that works for both of us and the studio. So we're both very busy people, and the studio is a busy place, and it's difficult, but
yeah, pretty quick. We're going to be recording our parts separately and editing them
yeah,
together.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Don't know how it's going to work, but it'll be a fun show. Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark was released on June 1st, 1981. Notable thing that happened today. And I'm going to...
Today or on that day?
On that day.
On that day,
yeah. Okay. Bear with me on the pronunciation here.
Oh, boy.
The only candidate in the presidential election, okay? Hassan Guled Appadon won the Djibouti election, which is an East African country. He was the only candidate.
You know what? Good for
Him.
him.
He won. He was the only candidate.
Good for him.
Pretty, interesting dude apparently, and yeah, he only.
Is this one of those situations where it's
election.
The only candidate, as in they call it a Democratic Party or a Democratic country, but if you don't vote for that one person, then you'd magically disappear in the middle of the night?
I didn't do a ton of research on this. I was mainly focused on Indiana Jones.
As you should be. Yeah, as you should be.
I didn't get the vibe that it was like a dictatorship because it wasn't like he ruled for 30 years kind of thing, right? Like it seemed like he had like a reasonable term, like probably 8-10 years, something like that, and then like nothing crazy. He just was the only candidate, and I think probably developing in that time frame, right? And
yeah, who knows? Cool.
Good for him. Good for him. Hopefully, it was good for everyone else.
Yeah,
that's how I should phrase that. Indiana Jones, a budget of 20 million USD. Not bad.
Yep, especially for the time.
Yeah, like reasonable size budget, and it grossed $354 million, making it the highest grossing film of 1981. So there you go. I think Superman 2 also came out that year. That was a high contender.
There have been so many Superman movies, it's impossible to keep them all straight.
I've definitely seen every single Superman movie. But
have you seen those ones from like the 50s, or maybe it was a TV show?
Yeah, like the one where he. No, wait. Is
I can't
it
remember
Superman
his name.
2 when he flies up and spins the Earth around?
I can't
Which
know, but like I'm
Superman
talking
is that?
like it's like an old black and white one from like the 50s, and I can't remember what his name was, but anyway, yeah.
Gary, producer Gary, which one was the one where he spins the Earth around? Is that Superman 2?
I think it was 3.
It's 3? Yeah. I've seen all of those ones, and when people ask me what's my favorite Superman, I actually just say probably for me Batman v Superman. And I know that's just not even a great movie, and it has some really terrible dialogue, and it's actually not that good at all. But I
gotta hear this justification.
I actually had a really good time in the theater. It was actually like one of the last movies I saw with my grandpa.
Okay, that makes sense.
And my aunt was there. It's the only time I've ever gone to a movie theater with my aunt as well. And they played the movie, and like the first 8 minutes, there was no sound, so they had to restart the whole movie. No. So that was definitely good memory in the theaters for that, because it's just like so random and weird. And we saw it at Scotiabank downtown, and it was fun. It was good. I had a good time. And then I think when you're younger too, and you're having a good time in the theater, I think you're less focused on maybe the artistical development of Batman v Superman, and you just become focused on, oh hell yeah, man, superheroes, right?
Yep.
And I think 11-year-old me just really messed with Superman, right? And I thought it was a good movie. Plus the Lego sets for that movie were so good. I don't know if you saw them, but they made some good Batmobile.
I didn't really. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there you go. Little story time with Ethan there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about our cast. We got Harrison Ford, Karen Allen, Alfred Molina. Didn't know he was in this movie. Honestly, couldn't remember that.
Nope.
Uh, actually, so he plays Satipo. That's his name, I believe.
Which is the what's his face? Which one is that?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you who was Alfred Molina. Because it's not the guy at the school. One of the guys at the school. So
Would it be
Who
one of
knows?
that? Would it be that weird German dude, the Nazi?
no.
No,
No.
I don't
No
know.
way.
I don't know.
I have no clue. He played the Ark.
Yeah.
yeah.
He was the voice of God.
Yeah.
Satipo was a Peruvian guide and thief who, along with his partner Barranca and several porters, helped guide American archaeologist Indiana Jones to the temple.
So that would have been the opening sequence then.
Like the guy on the plane?
No, not the guy in the plane. The guy that gets killed in the boulder chase scene.
No, that dude's like. Yeah, that's not that dude.
I don't know.
Satipo.
Yeah, that's that dude.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I'm completely. But you said Temple of Doom.
So I said Doom at the end. It's the temple to start the movie.
Oh, okay.
It was said in the temple, and that was the last. It was Dr.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I figured if you're talking about Temple of Doom, he would have survived for a sequel. But okay, very interesting because I saw Alfred Molina like in the credits at the start, and I was like, who does he play? And I could not figure out for the life of me at who Satipo was. I couldn't figure out any of that information. So thank you.
Not very common.
Well, it's just like I wanted to see like he's like a dude I feel like you would recognize. You know what I mean? And I'm not good at recognizing him. I feel like. What other movies has he been in?
No idea.
Does anyone know?
Come on, producer Gary, do your job.
We have a producer for a reason. But no, but here's the thing. He does lots of Broadway, doesn't he? And performances. He's like a singer.
I don't know.
I mean if I propose a fact and I spike the volleyball up, you know what I mean? Is that what it's called? I serve the volleyball up?
Yeah, spiking is hitting it down.
Yeah. You have to fucking spike it. Like if you wouldn't mind. Like just once in a while.
Well, but if I don't have anything to spike it with, if I'm just
say
flopping around with no arms, how am I supposed to spike
Just say
it?
something other than I don't know.
Well, what if I don't? What am I supposed to say? I am not aware of that fact. I'm not aware of the answer to that question.
That's perfectly robotic.
Oh my god.
Okay. Directed by Steven Spielberg. Created by George Lucas.
George Lucas really is the man.
He's one of the man. Yeah.
He's the man of the 80s.
I mean, Steven Spielberg though is so good.
Yeah, but like George Lucas and Spielberg together.
Like together, yeah. Like
and
there's
then
gotta
throw
be
John
some,
Williams in there.
There's some
You're
like, weird
unstoppable.
fan fiction that like.
Oh boy,
there's
I don't
gotta
even
be-
want to go down that rabbit hole on the
Between
internet.
George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, an amount of money grossed at the box office, it's literally like Elon Musk levels of intensity.
It's crazy.
That's not even true at all, though. It's funny if you take all the amount of money their films have grossed, stack them together,
Probably only
and
a few
tripled
billion.
it. It's half of what Elon Musk has.
Not
made, and
even.
That's like, are you kidding me? Like what?
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about a synopsis. Let's do that. Let's do a synopsis. I keep backtracking and going back and forth because I know you have a special delivery on the way.
I
and
do have a
just-
special delivery on the way. And I'm figuring since Gary decided he doesn't want to be on the show today, we'll just hit to a quick break,
What?
and while I go and get my special delivery, and then
I'll tell a joke.
sure. Yeah, it'll be a humor break.
Okay. Raiders of the Lost Ark film synopsis. This is the AI overview, so it's written very terribly, but let me
Oh,
just read
God.
what the AI overview says. Epic tale in which an intrepid archaeologist tries to beat a band of Nazis to a unique religious relic, which is central to their plans for world domination. Battling against a snake phobia and a vengeful ex-girlfriend. It's just not even true. Indiana Jones is in constant peril, making hair's breadth escapes at every turn in this celebration of the innocent adventure movies of an earlier era. What a weird
See, this
synopsis.
is why I despise the AI overview thing.
Oh no, this was actually written by George Lucas. It says right here. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. That
Take
is
back everything I said about George Lucas.
Yeah. No, it's so weird though. Like, what are
Yeah. Vengeful
What?
girlfriend.
ex-girlfriend?
Ex-girlfriend. Same fucking difference.
I mean, she's mad at him for like 3 seconds, and she saves their lives, and they immediately go to Kiss Town.
Yeah.
All in between this, there's a Nazi monkey that does a sig tile. Like I don't know why.
It's basically like, I mean, it's a pretty classic plot. I mean, let's be honest. The whole plot of the movie
Classic,
is
Nazi
it's-
monkey.
It's well, but you know what I mean. Like the actual like story itself isn't that complicated. It's an adventure movie. You got a superhero fighting against the evil Nazis, and a girlfriend that he's trying to win over.
Right. Well, we know like our 12 basic plots, right? We
Yeah.
have man versus nature, man versus plot, man versus Nazi monkey saluting, man versus himself. It's
Wait.
really-
Let's take the monkey. You remember the monkey from Gladiator 2?
Oh yeah.
And put him in Indiana Jones.
That
as,
monkey made
like
away.
the pet of the Nazi dude.
Yeah. How does the monkey die again? He has like a really dramatic death.
I can't
doesn't
even
he?
remember because it was so
Doesn't he like
stupid.
explode or something?
It's
I
something
thought
funny.
I thought he exploded. But yeah, basically there's a Nazi monkey, but we'll get there. And it's adorable. There's a lot of I was thinking about that on the drive here. There's a lot of monkeys in Indiana Jones movies. Like, which one is it where they eat the monkey brain? Is that Temple of Doom?
I can't even remember.
It's got to be Temple of Doom because
I
that's when
haven't-
like
this
Short
is-
Round gets kidnapped.
This is the Indiana. I haven't watched an Indiana Jones in forever, and this is the last one that I watched. Like,
Wow.
because I mean I like them, but they're not like my favorite movie ever.
Is it the Last Crusade where he goes on the train? I think that's that one. I don't think I like the Last Crusade. I like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull better. Sue me. I'm tired of people saying that's a terrible Indiana Jones movie because I actually really enjoyed that one. Sorry, hate to say it. Like that one. All of them are pretty good though for different reasons, but I definitely like the Temple of Doom monkey brain scene. That one's pretty funny.
Cool.
And gross as a kid, but whatever. Okay. Shall we go into a plot?
Sure.
Okay.
Take it away.
Take it away. So we have Indiana Jones, right? He's going through a temple. He's gonna find like an ancient artifact. I forget what the people or tribe are called. I was gonna say like some sort of like ancient Aztec or something, but I don't want to say anything.
I
because
remember
I don't want
I
to
read it because I
be
was
offensive.
I was looking online, and that was somebody's criticism was that they misinterpreted a certain religion or certain culture or tribe. So I read the name,
Right.
but I don't recall what the name was.
I think it starts with an M, right?
I was gonna say P, but
Well, so much as you know. This is why we don't do live episodes.
This is why we don't do
seriously.
live episodes.
No, but okay. Here's the thing. I don't want to say it's an ancient tribe of people protecting a relic.
I got a special delivery here.
What a dumb ringtone. Okay, so he has a pizza, and I'm alone now. So let me keep going through the plot. Basically, Indiana Jones, he goes through, he has a guide with him, a bunch of people that are getting scared. He finds this old temple, and basically goes through, gets to the relic. He does the infamous scene where, like, he takes, like, a bag of sand, he takes it out so it's the same weight, and then he like, swaps it out, right? So that it like stays the same. Then all of a sudden he's like, okay, he has it. His dude with him is like, all right, cool, we can leave now. But then all of a sudden the pillar starts going down. Big boulder falls from the ceiling, lands on the ground, right? We're not going to go through the logistics of this and how they got a big boulder like that shaved and put up there, but whatever, right? So Indiana Jones starts running through the temple. He runs through all like the arrow traps and pits, walls and stuff like that, running away from this boulder and such. And I guess the boulder might be a little later too, right? Because also the whole area is collapsing, right? Like the temple's self-destructing essentially, which is interesting. Like how is the temple built to self-destruct? Very weird. And how is it?
And a pressure plate
TNT and a pressure plate. Anyways,
at the bottom of a shaft.
at the bottom of a shaft. Wow. So basically, Indiana Jones' partner is like, "Oh yeah, throw me the idol, and I'll like make sure that you're safe." And Indiana Jones is like, all right, sure. So he tosses him in the idol. And the guy's like, ha, yeah, I've been betraying you one more time. And he's like, ah. So anyways, Indiana Jones decides to jump this like 6-foot long gap. And he basically slides under the doorway, grabs his whip, and pulls it back under. And looks at the dude. The dude's been killed in another one of those traps. Boulder comes. Indiana Jones runs from the boulder. He gets out. He's safe. But now there's some French archaeologist dude, and this dude's like, oh, I've got the
Oh, oui.
I don't.
I'm going to eat a burger.
He's French, right?
Yeah.
I think he's French. And
Yes, yeah.
He was either a Nazi or French, but
He's French.
A French Nazi.
Hey, those existed in World War II.
Yeah.
Even though this is set slightly before World War II. This is like 36
This
or
is
something.
1931. Which, again, I'm gonna be honest. Last night, so like there's like the one scene in the one movie. Is it The Last Crusade where he meets Hitler? Anyways, and he has his dad and whatnot. Anyways, I kind of always thought the Indiana Jones movies took place in like the 40s, not like the early 30s. Like I always thought they were like 40s because he met Hitler, right? Not that's
It's really hot.
it's disgusting. So, anyways, I was kind of surprised to hear it was 31 because I was like, oh, I never even really.
Are you sure it's 31? I thought this one was 36.
I think it's 31. I mean, you want me to look it up?
Yes, please.
I can look it up. What year is Indiana Jones?
Also, Domino's, please sponsor us. Great pizza. We went on a whole rant about it last time. And a good rant, I should say. Rant sounds bad.
Oh, it's 1936.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry. It is 1936. With Temple of Doom in 1935, and The Last Crusade in 1938, and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull in 1957. So yeah, pretty interesting. I like the period piece.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's cool. I think it's nice. 36. Hey, it's just for me. It feels old. Like it's tough for me because I've always just kind of felt like in the back of my mind, like it felt always a bit more modern than the times actually set in. You know what I mean? It's just to me, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's 1930, or maybe I just like think in my mind 1930 is way crazier than what I like crazy old. But like, you know what I mean? It feels like, if anything, it feels like a more modern 30s. You know what I mean? Like,
Nope, I don't know.
you get what I'm saying?
No, I mean, I understand the words you're saying, but I don't feel the same way.
Yeah. Well, to me, it definitely feels a little bit more modern in that sense. But
I'm in, Brando.
whatever. Hi,
We're live.
we're live. We're live streaming. We have a special guest in the studio today.
Brando's currently caught in the door cover.
Oh, and he went to Taco Time. Anyways,
Of course
we have a
he is.
special
It's
guest.
Tuesday.
Brando can come say hi and tell us what he thinks about Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. You want to come back here?
Oh, sure. I'll just come in here. I haven't watched it in 2 decades because I'm old, and it was fine. And hello.
That's Brando
Thank
of
you.
the CCO podcast.
And our Twitch stream.
And
Dufferin
our
Ave
Twitch, and our
dot-
Twitch stream.
Twitch.tv/Dufferin Ave Media.
Are we streaming on Twitch right now?
We will be in a few minutes. This is a very meandering episode. We need to keep it moving. I feel like we don't have a lot to talk about.
Anyways, Indiana Jones goes through. He gets the idol kidnapped. Boo-hoo. So sad. French guy takes it. I guess I never really talk about it for the rest of the movie, hey? Kind of just goes away. Anyways, he misses the idol. He gets confronted by his boss at whatever, when he teaches history.
University.
The university. And he's like, yeah, so you say you had it, but you didn't have it, whatever. And it seems like one of those things where it's like, oh, you keep doing this, you're not getting the idols, but when it actually turns out he's actually just kind of super supportive, and he's like, oh, whatever, it happens.
I
And
thought
then
that was a weird thing too.
yeah.
When you first meet the guy, you expect him to be kind of like the condescending boss, giving him hard quotas and everything.
So you're saying you had it, but then you lost it. right?
Mhm.
So you immediately think he's a bad,
Yeah.
like he's gonna be like a
But
villain.
then, like you say, no, he ends up being like a good friend supporter.
And he comes to his house and he's like, oh, he's packing. He's like, hey, by the way, super excited. I would have been like super excited to do this in my youth. Like, this is gonna be great for you. And you're like, oh, this is the same dude who just said like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyways, so he goes to where does he goes to not Korea, but
It's in Tibet.
yeah. Which country is that though?
Tibet.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Tibet's a
Oh.
country.
But it's an Asian country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like in the
Where
like
is it? Where is it near?
it's
Is it
near the Alps, kind of like in between China and India.
Okay,
Yeah.
here we go. Perfect. Anyways, see, I thought he went to like Korea or something. So that's shows what I knew. There was a lot of snow. It was like, oh, I didn't know it snowed so much in North Korea.
Careful.
So I don't even think people who live in North Korea knows it snows in North Korea.
Okay. You're gonna get us canceled.
Or deported.
To
Yeah,
North Korea.
in North Korea, they're not going to see this.
Oh, but the government will.
Well, hi Kim. So this is flattering. Like, if any politician were to watch your stuff, I mean, hey, come on.
No politics, no religion. Let's keep going.
This is Indiana Jones. It's based on politics and religion. That's a whole. Actually, it's based on history and science, but you never know.
And religion.
Okay, so movie continues, goes on. Basically, he meets his ex-girlfriend. They're looking for he's looking for this medallion that's supposed to be attached to a weird stick thing that, when put in a little temple or shrine, leads to the location of the Ark of the Covenant. Basically, the Nazis are looking for the Ark of the Covenant because Hitler's like, this will make the army invincible.
That's a French accent, not a German accent.
That's yeah.
But, no.
How do you do?
But that
do
is
the
another
German?
historical thing. The Germans were very much into
Oh, yeah.
art and stealing
it,
art,
yeah.
and that was a huge part of the Nazi rule.
We will make our army invincible. I finally got the accent.
There
down.
we
It took
go.
a couple seconds in my head. So
The Germans.
basically, Nazis are looking for this. Some U.S. agents are like, Indiana Jones, we need you to go steal this because it's easier to have a random archaeologist with no ties to the government just shot and killed and fail his mission than it is to have a bunch of SEAL Team 6 go in and operate.
SEAL Team 6 didn't exist at this point. In fact, there was basically no special forces at this point
Yeah.
in history.
Yeah. Well, Indiana Jones was his own special force.
He was.
And basically, he goes, he meets his girlfriend. His girlfriend's like, all right. His ex-girlfriend, she slaps him, tells him he's an idiot. But then the Nazis come because they know Indiana Jones is also looking for this, so they're going to try and kill him, which, okay.
And they know that she has the whatchamacallit thing that he's the medallion that he's looking for.
Yeah, exactly. Little key to it.
Yeah.
So Indiana Jones, he basically saves her from all the Nazis, kills 13 of them. I forgot how violent. Honestly, I couldn't actually even remember anyone really dying in Indiana Jones movies, you know what I mean? Other than falling into lava or something. And then it just shows how long it's been since I watched it because there's so much blood. There's a lot of blood and people dying and getting thrown off cliffs and stuff like that.
And some of those corpses are also pretty graphic in some of those scenes.
They used cayenne pepper instead of blood in the desert because it was easier to transport and cleaner. And so a lot of the stunt guys kept getting burns in their eyes because they were throwing cayenne pepper in their faces as for blood effects. Yeah. That's a fun little fact.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's just cheaper, easier to carry. It sucks to have coagulated blood in the desert, I guess. So cayenne pepper was what they decided to go with.
I feel like there was
it would kick up red dust.
I feel like there's a better option than that. There has to be.
Yeah, it's called CGI now. yeah. But it just goes to the respect I have for stunt coordinators. Really, just hey, good for you guys. And your healthcare provider. I
More
guess.
in particular, the stunt men or the stunt people, whatever you want to call them, because they're the ones actually doing it. The stunt coordinators are the people designing it. But the stunt
Did I say stunt coordinators?
Yeah.
Oh, just people who do stunts.
Yeah, the people doing the stunts.
Yes. Stunt people. So Indiana Jones, we can kind of fast forward some stuff. We meet the Nazi monkey, basically all the people like. So where do they go next? Like,
They go to that town. I don't know if they actually say what town it is.
oh,
It's
it's
the one in
Cairo.
Egypt.
It's Cairo.
Cairo.
Cairo. Yeah,
Cairo.
yeah. Yeah.
Is it Cairo?
I believe so. Yeah. Like they go,
Okay.
so they go to Africa.
Yeah.
And essentially, a bunch of people are trying to kill Indiana Jones because they all know Indiana Jones is there to be like a menace. And essentially, also here's the thing: they do this movie thing in all the Indiana Jones movies where they show like there's like 100 people watching Indiana Jones at all times and seeing what he's gonna do and stuff like that. And multiple times, someone is holding a gun behind him. They have about 700,000 opportunities to shoot him in the face in like a secluded area, but then they wait until there's like 100 people around to pull out the gun. I don't like. If I was an assassin, what do you think makes more sense? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Do I wait for 40 people to be watching and make it a spectacle so they think it's some kind of cool gladiator fight? Or do I shoot him in the alleyway when he's alone? Huh. Just a little bit of a notice. Anyways, so Indiana Jones basically finds one of the locations where he can put like the stick in the hole and stuff like that, but he can't really get to it because all the Nazis are around it. Meanwhile, a bunch of people are still trying to kill him. His girlfriend basically gets blown up, or ex-girlfriend, whatever. They're still kind of in love a little bit like that. Marion. So she goes bye-bye for a bit. She's not actually dead.
Yeah, but you think she is.
Yeah. Monkey dies, Nazi monkey dies, and we're kind of like, okay, cool.
When they did that, the way they did that, I thought it was quite good. Where it's like you expect him to just find her, but he doesn't, and you're like, oh shit, they actually killed her.
Yeah, like they
And
killed
then
her.
no, they didn't.
They didn't kill her. He does just find her later in a tent, just sitting
Yeah.
there, just doing her thing. So funny enough, we keep going. Indiana Jones finds the location of the Ark, and it's in the middle of the dig site where all the Nazis are searching for it. Or sorry, it's a
Yeah.
little
bit
off
off
to the side.
I
whatever.
like that.
But the temple is peeking out of the ground exactly where it is. So after supposedly months of their operation digging here and no one found it, like, Commander, we have an exposed temple 30 feet to the left of us. Should we dig there? No! Nine! We will dig there! We will dig there! Keep digging there! And it's just like, what? But sir, like, we could see a temple. That is not ours to touch! Okay. And so Indiana Jones comes, and within 6 hours of him being there, he immediately finds the Ark.
Because he's not an idiot.
Yeah, he finds Marion. Is it Marianne or Marianne? I think it's Marianne. Marianne. Yeah.
Whatever it is. His girlfriend. Who's
Yeah.
not his girlfriend, but he wanted him to be his girlfriend, or wants her to be his girlfriend, but by the end, she is his girlfriend.
Yes.
It's much simpler.
Yeah. So basically, he finds her, but she tells her, like, hey, listen, I'm going to have to go out to the Ark, and you're going to stay here, and then I'll come back for you once I have the Ark.
And she's like, no, you're so mean.
Interesting. And at first, I was like, lady, that's actually a great plan. That's perfect, because they'll be looking for you. That's, like, a great plan. But then you realize the Ark is probably like 100 pounds. It's made out of pure gold, and it's the size of a casket. And you're like, wait, hold on. Maybe, bro, you probably could have freed her, actually, first, and then
Yeah.
got the Ark, because what? And again...
Well, and
if
also,
the
like,
Nazis weren't digging there anyways, why would they think to search for her there? Because it's just not their camp anymore.
but also, it's like, are you not going to be, like, chivalrous and, especially at this time, that would have been, like, using your girlfriend as bait? Like,
True.
That's,
Yeah.
like, not very historically accurate, in my opinion.
I don't think women in the 30s were treated as good as they are now, though.
Yes and no, but there's difference between,
I think
you know what I mean?
I think historically, actually, maybe some women were treated worse, like witches.
Yeah, but she's not a witch. That's my point.
Yeah, but the Nazis don't know that.
Yeah, but
I think she should have just saved her. That would
That's
be
my point.
Yeah, it should have been the chivalrous thing to do. But I don't think there's historical enough evidence to be like, yeah, this dude would have freed her.
I think so.
You think so?
Yep.
Maybe I'm like
I think so.
incorrect. But also Indiana Jones is for someone who's like consistently a loner in pretty much all the movies, he does have a different girlfriend in every single one of them. So that's a little weird. And then he has a kid with Shia LaBeouf. Not with Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf. He's his kid. And essentially, this surrogacy. It's a big thing, right? So
Really progressive all of a sudden.
yeah. He finds the Ark. It's in a room with snakes, filled with pythons and other things. Pythons, I think, were the only really dangerous ones. Even the cobras, I think, were like devenomized. But the assistant director, David Tomlin, was bitten by a python.
Those were all real snakes?
Yeah.
Did they burn real snakes?
No clue. He was bit on the arm and it wouldn't let go. So basically, what he had was one of the production assistants or someone from catering, someone somewhere started whipping the snake from the tail so that it would let go and fall down. And so, yeah. As far as I'm concerned, that was the only person who was bit by a snake. But yeah, it kind of grabbed on and wouldn't let go. Good old assistant director.
It was an AD. It's fine. Nobody cares about ADs.
The first assistant director?
You can replace them, no problem.
Yeah, it's whatever. There's also the famous swordsman scene in there.
I love that scene. It's so good.
The guy pulls out a sword. He's going to go to town. Indiana Jones is going to take the whip and go whoosh, and pull the sword out of his hand. That's what they had practiced. Indiana Jones had food poisoning. Kind of failed to do it like 5-6 times, and then he just said to Steven Spielberg, "Can I just shoot him?" And Steven Spielberg was okay with it. And so basically,
didn't he just do it?
From what I read on IMDb, he asked Steven Spielberg, and I think he wouldn't have just done it because the crowd has such a perfect reaction to running away too, and like the guy's
that's true
falling down, right? So yeah, Indiana Jones, he goes, shoots him, puts the gun away. Another Indiana Jones kill, like he's racking them up like he's Ted Bundy, and yeah, he just kills another dude. Next little thing is so they get the Ark, whatever, but the Nazis have basically found where he's hiding essentially, and they steal the Ark from him, leave him with Marion. Basically, they're gonna run away. He's gonna die in the snake pit. This is my biggest problem with the whole film. Because clearly they're trapped in this sacred temple, right, where the Ark of the Covenant was, right? Thank goodness there's a secret hidden wall that leads perfectly to the outside world, and they don't have to do any digging whatsoever. They perfectly just kick out a rock, and they're immediately back in the Nazi dig site. So again, oh sir, should we dig there where that exposed rock is? Nein, that is not an Ark of the Covenant. No, like it's just like, oh my god, man! Like no one thought to like look there, like whatever. It's a movie, right? It's a movie. So basically, Indiana Jones escapes. The Nazis see him, and basically he's trying to get like the Ark of the Covenant off of this plane because the plane's gonna take it away. So he goes to like stop the plane, and Marion gets in it. And she becomes like a gunner. She starts blowing up the Nazi camp. A big old Nazi dude comes and fights Indiana Jones, but he gets crushed by a propeller in another insanely bloody, gross scene that, like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even. Maybe my dad just covered my eyes at certain parts, and that's why. Like I must have been like 15, and my dad was just like, "You can't see this." No, so. He dies. One more guy dies. There's got to be like an insane kill count in this film.
I'm sure somebody's went through and put it together.
Yeah, and essentially, they blow up the plane, and then now the Nazis are going to take it on a convoy of trucks. They're going to go take it away, and essentially, Indiana Jones stops the convoy of trucks. He gets the Ark, puts the Ark on a boat. Him and Marion sail off to the sunset. The end. Or so we think.
Yeah.
And this is where the pacing gets a little weird. Because you have like a beautiful ending, Indiana Jones. They're taking the Ark of the Covenant, they have it, They're taking it to the States for examination. They have a perfect scene where Indiana Jones and Marion fall asleep together, and she's like healing his wounds, and he's like, I'm an adventurer or whatever. 69
people are
died.
killed.
Yeah.
And how many of those are Indiana Jones? No, like how many did he kill? Producer Brando.
Yeah, so 69 people die, and then Marion and Indiana Jones 69, and then basically.
Okay.
So there's it's like a good ending where they're fall asleep on the boat. The moon goes down.
Again,
sun
you
goes
think
down,
that's
whatever.
the ending when the first time you watch it.
And I think honestly, I think it would have been good to end there because the pacing just feels so weird after. Because now it's like we put an hour-long plot down into 10 minutes.
Yes.
And so that's my biggest problem with this film is like it feels like it should end there. And I like the last few scenes. I think they're good. But it's just like the movie should have ended there or cut or wiped whatever to the last scene where they're talking with the guys and they're like, we can't tell you where the Ark is, but we're putting it into safekeeping for a scientist, right? But no, and instead a German U-boat, basically submarine, comes, threatens to blow up the ship unless they give up Indiana Jones and like the Ark and stuff like that. Can't find Indiana Jones, so they get Marion. Then Indiana Jones swims onto the submarine and gets in and boards the submarine. And then basically he hides in the submarine. He goes to the secret German naval base on this island. And then he escapes there, kills some Nazis, gets in a Nazi uniform. Then he basically goes and finds Marion and frees her. And then they kidnap him again, and now they're kidnapped again, and they're going to be forced to watch them open the Ark of the Covenant because they want to open it to see if it's
You
there.
forgot about the largest truck fight, the whole truck chase scene.
Oh yeah, there's another chasing, and I'm not saying that that's like a bad thing.
It's a cool scene. It's a really cool
scene,
scene,
right?
Yeah.
I just think at this point the movie should be over, just because it had a great ending. I don't think we need any of this stuff.
And you're already an
since
hour and a half in.
It's just like, if we're being honest, this whole stuff should have been stretched out a bit more. It feels half-baked in comparison.
Yeah, it's like the plot, like you say, the pacing just accelerates tenfold when you get to that ship scene.
Yeah, like all of a sudden it's like da 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 da, and then it goes da 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 da. That's like yeah. Great score, by the way.
Yeah, now it's gonna be stuck in my head for the rest of the day.
So, basically, they want to open up the Ark because they want to make sure that Hitler has exactly what he needs, and that they don't make an embarrassment of themselves. So they open it, but then God is like, and he kills everyone that isn't basically looking, he kills everyone that's looking at like the light coming through, basically the Covenant, and then the lid snaps back on, and everyone's dead in the room except for Indiana Jones and Marion because they weren't looking at the light. It's very interesting that Indiana Jones knew not to look at the light in a way, because in all the depictions of the Covenant that they show in the movie, people are looking at the light and nothing's happening to them.
Good point.
See, and they think the Covenant's going to make them immortal. So we're going off the logic that this is going to make Nazis invincible, and in all the depictions of art and drawing that they show in this movie, are people looking at the Ark being like, yeah. But in this end, Indiana Jones is like, he uses that information. He's like, let me close my eyes, right? So very interesting, and I guess it works to his benefit as it does usually. And they take the Ark and they escape. They don't really show the escape, I guess, but they basically show them getting back to the States. The U.S. government's like, hey, by the way, great work. We'll pay you, but a team of researchers will take it from here. And then they show that the Ark gets put on a crate and put into a big storage facility, buried under boxes and stuff.
That scene reminds me of a TV show called Warehouse 13.
Okay.
Which I highly recommend people check out because it's really fun. Basically, it's like this warehouse that stores artifacts like that. Artifacts and like abnormal supernatural things. And then they have like a team that like tracks things down if they get stolen and stuff like that. It's a really good show, Warehouse 13. Check it out.
I see really good opportunities for a prequel and a sequel. Super easy to name them. Warehouse 11. Warehouse 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways. that's like the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And so that's my biggest complaint. Is just like I feel like the movie should end on the boat. It just feels like it
I
feels
agree
right
with that.
for it to end on the boat. Especially since like we get into more supernatural stuff, and I feel like Indiana Jones gets captured twice again and escapes instantly, and it's like okay, like what are we doing? Like, yeah, and not one of the like Nazis decided to not look at the Covenant as it was exploding or something. You know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
there's just a lot of plot holes and stuff like that just didn't work.
I feel like overall the plot is kind of like, how do I put this? The point of this movie is to make stunt action sequences, and they do it spectacularly.
And they build off a sense of wonder. Yeah.
Yes, it's really, really well done.
Yeah.
But I feel like the plot suffers a little bit in a way where it's kind of simple and at times a little bit, like you say, plot hole. There's a couple things, and it's not bad by any means at all, but I just feel like it could be done better in certain areas.
The word that comes to mind for me isn't necessarily simple. It's convenient.
Convenient, yeah, that's a much better description.
I think there's a large majority of things that are just, oh, that's convenient. That's convenient.
Mm.
And after a while, convenient can turn into many different things. Sometimes it's classic comedy. Other times it's, what are we doing, guys?
Yeah.
And I feel like part of the times where these movies get all their charms comes from the comedy side. And unfortunately, I feel like when it comes to the pacing at the end, it turns into, oh, this is maybe convenient for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's a great movie. I love it. It's just unfortunate that like instead of making it like an epic mystery, it's still epic, but it's more like it's epically convenient. Like it's epically laid out for him, right?
Yeah.
So like instead of making it feel like Indiana Jones is like some master archaeologist detective sometimes, it feels like this guy is just really lucky.
I think that too. Like, you know, when you
And he is lucky. Of course, that's part
He
of his
is.
character, but it's just like I feel like it's at the detriment of maybe some important.
I feel like
things.
there's also more opportunity to show him off as being kind of like this almost superhero-ish figure, you know, and showing off some of his skills and whatnot. And I feel like you say, it's so convenient sometimes that they miss that. It's like he's just kind of wandering through this plot without having to do a lot.
I think part of the lure of Indiana Jones is he's a real person. He's a teacher. He's an archaeologist. He's educated, and he does it for the love of the craft. So he is human in a way, not a superhero. But I agree with you on that same point, though, that like it just feels like sometimes like it's meandering in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the plot
like, it's
very
just
much
like,
meanders until that ending sequence, like you said, where it just speeds up. But yeah, meandering.
and so it's like you want that balance of him being lucky and cool, but you also want him to like be able to deduce it sometimes. And I feel like the other movies do a bit of a better job where he reads like Latin and stuff, or like things on the walls of the cave to determine where to go next. But you know, I feel like a lot of this movie is him just kind of like going places, and there's not a lot of explanation of why he's there till like the very end of the scene, and then like he'll find the ark or something like that, and it's exactly in the middle of where 100 other people looked, and for some reason he was just the only one who thought, what if I opened this piece of stone? It's just kind of like, oh, like, you mean to tell me that like there's hundreds of people here that are super determined to get it, and this guy came in and within 30 minutes he knew exactly where it was? It's just like very interesting, right?
Yeah.
No, obviously it's part of the charm. It's part of the creative things. It works for some people. It doesn't work for others. For me, it works for them most of the time. It's just like I do feel like a little bogged down by it occasionally.
And I think honestly, like we always talk about, what's the point of this movie? And I think this movie, it's to have a fun action adventure story. And I think they hit that. They hit that, right?
And even the score does a good enough job too, where like it's like I do magic tricks for my cousin, and they're really shitty magic tricks. They're not even magic tricks. Like, okay, Sunday night, what I did is I got 2 empty containers of dice, and I got her to put one. I put a random dice in one and hid it behind my back, and I told her, okay, pick any dice you want and put it in this. I'll shake it around and come up with a different dice, right? So all I did was, she put it in. I go like shut, and I pulled out the other dice, and she looked at it and gasped, and I went, oh, magic. And even that heightened the moment for her because she went, magic, right? Right. It wasn't even as much as a trick, but as much as selling the trick. And I think the music does a good job
for sure.
of selling the trick, because the music is like Indiana Jones, like when you look at it at face value, like it's a silent film. Okay.
Yeah, really.
There's 600 people here who decided not to open this vault the last 9,000 years that's been peeking out of the sand, despite hundreds of archaeologists being there who would all like to find some majestic artifact. Indiana Jones comes and he's like, let's go through here, right? Exactly. So he goes through, and in itself you're like, oh, that's dumb. But the music's like, and you're like, oh, cool.
It's exciting.
And it goes, da 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 da.
That's the other thing is that
like,
that motif, like that Indiana Jones motif or whatever, like they use that as well to like help dictate the story. Like anytime he's had just a triumphant moment, and it like programs your brain. Like, okay, this is
like
a triumphant.
dopamine, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
And so it's not so much the trick, it's selling it. And that's kind of like the analogy I'll use.
I think that's a good way of describing it.
To explain, like, hey, sometimes that movie, even if the things itself aren't that cool, at least there's certain elements that bring it together, like cool filmmaking and acting and over-the-top action. And some of the editing is so sloppy with the punches. So many times in the fight scene, I was chuckling to myself because you can see clearly the punch doesn't hit or something
and
like that.
Just even like looking at how the fight choreography has improved, like the way he punches in these movies, like I can't even replicate it. It's such a weird punching.
Every punch goes from back here.
It's such a weird motion.
He starts back here for every punch. He goes right in the face.
And it's such a weird motion. And then like you look at modern movies, it's a lot more like accurate and actual, you know, punching punching motion. And
lots of kicks and stuff like that. But I guess also kind of shows that Indiana Jones isn't much of like a trained fighter either.
True.
He's more of like he's also kind of a bumbler in a way, right? Because he's kind of like, he just tackles people and like charges them and stuff, and it just kind of works out for him, right? So
and he's
that's
real
kind of
good with the
human
whip
element is. I think we're kind of used to seeing every character being like John Wick, being able to solo like an entire group of armed goons, but Indiana Jones is more of like a charge in and take one out, and then
that's a very good point. Yeah,
like he can't fight two people at once. You know what I mean? That's not his character. But it is interesting because like people are like, oh well, it was different times back then and stuff like that, but it was like, no, just the editing was kind of sloppy in some of those fight scenes because and
sometimes the camera angles and stuff too aren't optimal.
But it's because it's not ironed out, right? Like it's just like some of those things. It's like I don't think it needed to be, because I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's funny, but it didn't take away from like how much I enjoyed the movie, right? But it was a little funny, right? Whatever, you can see the punch didn't hit. Big freaking deal. If you weren't looking as close as I was, then it really probably doesn't even matter. But I think nowadays we're trained as an audience that like we want perfection, right? So much perfection that if we see that in a movie today, like if we saw that in a Star Wars movie, well, hold on a second. Why was it okay in 1970, but it's not okay now? It's like, oh, well, there's more technology and stuff, and it should be more ironed out. You want perfection, but it's like, does it really take away? No, it really doesn't. So it's funny to me.
I think I think it does, depending on who you are. Like you or I, who was raised with modern movies. I mean, we watched those older movies too, but like we grew up with modern movies, seeing that. And you and I both noticed that. We noticed like, oh, that looks interesting. But if that was the only movie or only style of movie fighting that you had seen, let's say, you know, you're 10 in 1980 and you're watching this movie and like, oh my God, this is so cool, you know, whatever. Sure. But that's the only movie fighting. I bet you didn't even notice it. I bet you that was just like a fight, a punch, right? And so I feel like it's not that it takes away. It's just we're just not used to it, and so we notice it more.
But here's the thing. If that happened in John Wick, where you could see one of John Wick's punches didn't land, or three of them didn't land, we'd be outraged. We'd be like, I can't believe Keanu Reeves would allow this to happen, and oh my God, it's so sloppy. I can't believe what Hollywood's come to. But in all the Indiana Jones movies, none of the punches connected. You can see they don't connect, so why do we love it?
Yeah.
And it's like, was like, okay, sure, it's classic, it's beloved, but I think it's not even that. I feel like truthfully, what it is, it's just like it actually doesn't even matter that much. It's
Yep.
the thought and the effort and the creativity that matters and the imagination. That's what all of Steven Spielberg movies are about is imagination and adventure. And the punch not landing isn't the pivotal piece into making it a good movie. Sure, it's an extra detail. Sure, it's maybe something that looks a little funny. But in all these movies that we're seeing and we're like, that's sloppy because it does that. It's like that's not the reason it ruined the film for you. It's because the imagination wasn't there. And that's part of having a good movie is something where people want to imagine something beyond surface level
Yeah.
whatever, right? And I think that's why it's acceptable,
Yeah.
right? Whatever. Let's talk about how the film was made. And I think sorry, you do you have something to say?
No.
Okay. So George Lucas likes to skip town when a movie comes out. He likes going on a vacation because there's a lot of chaos when the box office opened. So he released A New Hope. He went on a trip to Hawaii where he met Steven Spielberg. So this is opening weekend. Again, this is all on IMDb on the official trivia of the film page, so you can check it out there. He goes to Steven Spielberg, hang out. They're building a sandcastle together, apparently. And they're talking about Steven Spielberg directing one of the James Bond movies. And George Lucas says, I have a better idea. And he explains to him the plot of Indiana Jones and like the story, and basically Steven Spielberg says, yeah, he's down. And so this is opening weekend of A New Hope. And they didn't talk about it until after the first few days or whatever, because George Lucas was like super concerned. Like it was all the only thing on his mind. But then he really realized that A New Hope was making money. He was like, okay, he can kind of relax on his vacation now. So yeah, then he tells Steven Spielberg basically what's up, and they made a sandcastle together apparently, and he said yeah,
Yeah.
to making Indiana
That's cool.
Jones. Yeah, I think the music's good. It's funny. It's over the top. Pacing at the end. I think it should just end at the boat. Honestly, I don't even think we needed those ending scenes.
I agree with all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's all I got.
Wow. Okay. Well, should we rate it and get out?
Let's do it. 7.5.
7.5. I agree. 7.5. Let's do it. Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. You just watched the viewing room live. And I actually don't even know how we end this episode. So.
You know what? You just keep talking and doing the outro.
Cool.
Thanks to Coliseum.
Thanks to Coliseum Presents for putting on epic cinema events. We watched this at the Roxy. It was an incredible time. Ran into some friends and coworkers, and yeah, it was great. Thank you so much. We do have an Instagram at the viewing room _, and we look forward to you watching our next episode next week. If you have any suggestions, concerns, or comments, leave them down below, and we'll see you next time.